Hey, and we're live. Another edition of Sweating with MS. Yeah, it's time to get the heart rate elevated. Lots of stuff today. Lots of books I've been pulling out. Before I start digressing, though, about a good warm up just to get the heart rate going. Some overhead pulls, some tricep. Decided it was much too long, and I've been sitting down there on the couch, sitting in front of my Facebook, talking to my Facebook friends about the Dr. Terry Wahls protocol diet. Geez, last night I spent an hour and a half with the admin from the group. And is your heart rate starting to get there, or is it starting to get like starting to shift to a different exercise perhaps? Let's see. I was going to say Julie. Julie is her name. And I've got a book sitting beside me. It's called Escape: My Lifelong War Against Cults. It's written by Paul Morantz. Back in the 70s, he got a phone call from a father who wanted to get his daughter out of a cult called Synanon. So Paul Morantz answered the call, and at the age of 14, he helped Julie escape from Synanon. If you've never heard of Synanon, it was run by a man named Charles Diedrich. He's the one that also coined the phrase, "Today is the first day of the rest of your life." He started Synanon as a place for alcoholics back in the early 60s. Then he changed it up to what he called serving the dope fiends. So he bought some property in Santa Monica, but eventually he decided he was more interested in helping the dope fiends than the alcoholics. So he started helping the dope fiends. After that, he took his rehab facility and turned it into a church. It became the Church of Synanon, where children did not spend time with their parents. In fact, he said that women having babies was more or less like punting a football. And he used to gather people around in a circle to try to break them, confess some of their sins and get to know each other, and then use those things against them, keep them up all night for days on end, take their clothing, give them new clothing, new identities. The neighbors didn't really like it so much when they started buying guns, arming themselves. And Synanon didn't like it too much when members tried to escape. They'd hunt them down. Oops. They'd hunt them down and bring them back. I guess I was a little too close to that. This thing about the Tower 200 is when you're in an empty studio filming it, you got lots of room, but when you're in a freaking wheelchair, you can't back around very easily because you got desks full of microscopes and lava lights, and what else I got there? Tons of books. Anyway, Julie's father called up attorney Paul Morantz to get Julie out of Synanon. So you can buy the book and read the story. Julie, well, you'll have to read her story to hear everything that happened to her while she was at Synanon. But there's a reason why they call it cults, and there's a reason why people leave. She went on to get an MBA. She went on to get a job at IBM. She went on to get second place in a women's bench press contest. Then in the early 80s, her gut started giving her issues, digestive problems, and she started having issues with her lungs. Doctors wanted to call it by the name of asthma. And they started giving names to the other diseases that seemed to pop up. Some of them even said, hey, we just think you're being a hypochondriac. But eventually, about 20 years later, she was diagnosed with MS. And her job flying across the country multiple times, her job working for IBM soon came to an end. And before you knew it, she was rolling around in a wheelchair and using an oxygen tank because her lungs weren't working correctly, and she was having difficulty swallowing, and she was having difficulty seeing. This is a woman that experienced the pain of escaping from a cult at the age of 14, multiple cross-country flights. She endured not one miscarriage, not two, but 7 miscarriages before bearing a child. And then dealt the blow of a so-called incurable illness called MS. And you wonder if stress has anything to do with disease. And you wonder why maybe her intestines were the first things to act up in the early 80s. And you wonder why she had to go to 30 neurologists. And neither one of them, not one of them could hand her a cure. Just more options for drugs like Avonex and Copaxone and Tysabri and Tecfidera or Rebif. I've lost count. How many reps is that, Coach? You get your hands over your head. Keep your back nice and steady. I've lost track, Coach. I'm not even sure how many minutes we were at. I had full intention to bring a clock in this room. All I can tell you is if I had a heart rate monitor, I think my heart rate is starting to elevate. And I think my upper body's starting to fatigue a bit. But I'm pretty sure I'm not sweating. So, since my goal is to sweat, I think I better just keep going. and tell you that since Julie had to carry around an oxygen tank, Julie had to move around in a wheelchair, eventually she decided she would try the Dr. Terry Wahls diet. And she said it wasn't an instant fix. There was lots of ups and downs. I can tell you that today she's still considered legally blind, but I can tell you she got rid of that oxygen tank, and I can tell you that she got rid of that wheelchair and she's walking around now. So if you want some examples of people that have escaped from their so-called confinement of the wheelchair, I tell you it's more like escaping from the confinements of your mind. And whether you believe you can heal or not. Because this morning, talking to somebody whose significant other wants to see examples of somebody in a wheelchair with spasticity as bad as his spasticity. Somebody that's healed and gotten out of the wheelchair. So I figure there's got to be lots of stories out there about people that have combat Lyme disease, combat mercury poisoning, combat the symptoms known as multiple sclerosis. So I know many of you know about Terry Wahls and her TEDx talk. And now Terry Wahls is biking 18 miles a day. I'm not sure how long it takes to bike 18 miles a day, but she's still working as a doctor at a hospital in Ohio. And she's still looking for funding for her nutritional study. And talking to Julie, she said the nutritional study appeared to have some positive outcomes. Sure, there was only about 9 participants in the study, but overall their symptoms of fatigue improved, and they measured them in a 25-foot walk, and all of those things improved. I'm not sure on the details and the length of the study, how many of them participated all the way through the end of the study, but you have to decide for yourself what your own protocol is and whether you're going to trust in real food, vegetables, and exercise, and good air, and plenty of sleep. Whether you're going to add to that with the Western drugs, whether you're going to just ditch all that and do things on your own. That's your choice. You're the one that has to decide. But make a decision, you know. If you're going to put your trust in them, you put your trust in them. If you're going to put your trust in a protocol, and stick with it a while. Because I've sure had some trouble sticking with my protocol. Because I keep shifting gears. I've got devices here. I don't even have a stun gun, imagine that. I've got a unit that looks like a TENS unit. It's a neuromuscular electrical stimulation. It's from LG Med Supply. It cost me about $70. And it's mentioned in, well, not that unit, the EMPI 300 PV is mentioned in Terry Wahls' book, Minding My Mitochondria. Haven't gotten to the second book yet, which is the Wahls Protocol. I had about just a few feet. I can bring my arms out to the side with this exercise. We're banging into the freaking walls right now. So what I need to do is get a carpenter, move my door about 3 feet to the left. Oh yes, lost track of how many reps I might coach. Oh yeah, before I tell you about my NeuroStem unit, or NMES, or my HeartMath meditation technology that I discovered at the Joe Dispenza conference, or about the LED sunglasses from Fall City, Washington, that I heard about from my former stepmother, Cleo. Amazing. For 30 years, not seeing a woman that helped raise you when you were about the age of 13. And Julie was talking about the study that correlated the place you were living prior to the age of 13 and how it related to disease. And she talked about leaving Synanon and living in a place in California that was declared by the EPA as a toxic mercury waste dump. I don't think she said she had any mercury amalgams. I just need to attach this device in the middle of the room, just like they do on that workout video. It's my review of this device. You can elevate your heart rate. T25 can elevate your heart rate, but I can't do it for 25 minutes with my legs being as weak as they are in this condition. So, Mom, that's my excuse for not doing my exercise today on the T25. Haven't heard much from my coach, Karen Kruger. But